So for us, right, it's the evolution of small to big, right?
Yeah.
Especially as our products got bigger and things like that. But eventually, as we look at from code starts to production, right? Is at every point we started to notice there's another handover, there's another blocker. This takes time. Whether it was development to QA, let's ignore the whole cycle time of review and things like that, right? He has to go to QA. Now we need DevOps. We have to provision some infrastructure. Now we need a security review. And each one of these is a handoff that takes time, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes hours, right? And as we look to measure our team of idea to production, right? Those blockers are killing our teams, right? So a simple one is QA, right?
Yeah.
We scaled QA a lot in India, and for our teams in the Western Hemisphere, cool. You're done with your code. You hand it off. The next day, someone from India has picked it up and they've put in a defect, and now you got to fix it. This churn is brutal, right?
So much
Um,
context switching you're creating there.
and even then, it little bit of overlap. You got 3 hours in the morning where everyone can be in the same meeting, which means in the
Reduced
US, people are starting
collaboration.
earlier than they want to. In India, they're staying later than we want to, which is also
Affects
an issue around
happiness.
retention and
Yeah.
employee happiness, right? And then you add in the DevOps and the cloud part and things like that. And so we really quickly identified we have to break this or we can't break these other things, right?
Right.
Because the teams will say, I can't go to production faster. I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. And as part of the team topology is a big part is all those things where I'm waiting, we have to turn those into I'm not waiting effectively, right? And so from a QA standpoint, this means we need a much bigger push into automated testing, right? Even simple things like over time, we had good automated testing, right? You have unit testing in place, that's fine, but automated integration testing. But then a manual regression would take 4 days,
Mm.
right? 4 days.
Yeah.
And then they find something, right? Cool. We need to push automation into all of that. It has to be in the build pipelines. It has to run as part of what we do. We need fast feedback on these cycles, right?
Yeah.
Same thing around security and compliance with things like Sonar Cloud. Same thing, DevOps. We have to move everything to infrastructure as code. We need repeatable, safe deployments, right? And so over the last year or so, we've been working really, really hard on for each of these touch points. That was kind of a manual handoff, a manual intervention of how do we move these into automated processes that we can then make either part of the build pipelines or part of APIs, right? That we can then execute via build pipelines and things like that to turn them into non-blocking dependencies. We can build code, we can run it, we can get the feedback, we can fix it and ship it.